day one here at the SCG Invitational. And there you see, on the left-hand side, it's Steven Dykman playing Simic Urza, taking on Joshua Beard, Mono Green Tron. Both these players at 7-0. These are not players who are really fixtures here on the SCG Tour, but with a really nice start to their Invitationals.
And these are two decks that we're very familiar with at this point. Some of the broadcasters may have written off, you know, the power of Tron coming into this event.
Sounds like something someone really smart would say. I'm just putting it out there. But.
It's funny, Pat had mentioned how you don't want to be playing Worm Coil Engine in this format. There's only two in the main deck here that we're looking at, but a lot of these decks, although they are very powerful, turn 3 Karn is still just enough to fight back in this format.
Well, we'll have to see if that's true, because Joshua Beard is going to be attempting to compile that turn 3 Karn, going to be taking on Steven Dykman. Simic Urza, this looks like the Lotus Box list, basically card for card. 3 Karn, the Great Creator. Yeah, in the main deck.
We talked about the next evolution. How do you fight the shifting format? How do you stay one step ahead of everyone else that's showing up with their, you know, Simic Urza decks now? And Karn seems to be the strategy that a lot of the field has taken.
Yeah, I like it. I like a lot of what's going on the sideboard here, too, for Steven Dykman, especially when it comes to this particular matchup. But we'll get there when we get there. No reason to get ahead of ourselves. Gilded Goose is the play here on turn 1. Steven's going to get a food, passes the turn back to Joshua Beard. Going to go ahead and crack a star. I see a mine already in Josh's hand. No tower yet. That is a mine, right? Or is that a second power plant of a different art? If so, I'm already angry.
Oh, when people play all different arts? No.
I think it's a second power plant.
Don't do that to us, people.
Do you see what happened, Joshua? You had to diversify your art, and now you have 2 power plants in play on turn 2. That's what happens to you.
You think that's just karma?
Yeah. It absolutely is.
You deserve this, Josh. Take it easy on him, Brian.
I feel bad. I'm still not 100% sure that's actually a power plant, and I'm already ragging him. I think so, though. I see a lot of text up in that top portion of the card. It makes me think it's a power plant. Well, that's a scary start, if that is the case for Joshua Beard.
And the rough part about this, if you're on the Tron deck, and you're going to have 2 of one of the lands, you know, you're not going to complete Tron until turn 4 instead of 3. You want the 2 lands to be towers.
Yeah, because then you have 10 mana.
Exactly. You want to be able to play 4-drop Karn and tutor up the lattice and basically lock up the game right there.
Yep. Now, that's not going to happen here, although here is Expedition Map that will be able to complete Tron next turn. We have confirmed those are 2 power plants of different arts.
We knew it all along.
Yeah, I felt it in my soul. That's why my ire was raised immediately.
Also, even if you don't have the 4-drop Karn, you want to deploy Ulamog.
Right.
You know,
no, 10's a big break point.
Yeah.
Couple of Goose in play for Steven. Gonna play a 3rd land here. Just passes the turn.
You're telling me plural of goose is goose?
Geese.
Gooses?
Couple of geese.
Geist?
I think it's geese. Goosen, maybe?
How do I rope you into these conversations?
Just like oxen, except goosen.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Pretty sure that's correct. I'm no English major.
2 goosen on the board.
A gaggle of goosen. Turn headed back to Josh Beard. Tron online, but those 2 power plants means 9 mana, not 10, available on this turn. Still a good play available? Let's see. Looks like Steven's fetching.
Yeah, it looked like Josh had an Ugin in his hand.
Okay. It looks like we're up to something here.
Ooh.
Cryptic Command. Bounce that tower, yeah. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. This is just a straight up time walk that he got.
Joshua redeploys tower.
We've seen the Urza decks go from basically no board to comboing off, you know, many a time.
Chromatic Sphere. Crack that. A little bit of green mana floating, we assume. Looks like Karn was the draw. 4 mana Karn. Now there's the question of what Josh can get up to with 4 mana Karn and 5 additional mana on the next turn.
Yeah, I kind of wish Josh still had the possibility of some proactive plays here where even though he's jammed up on 3 mana, if he deploys an Oblivion Stone there, it's a nice card to have on the board moving forward.
Yeah. Gonna go ahead and scry up a Blast Zone, is Josh.
Okay, I don't hate it.
Putting some threat on those geese.
I told you, Brian, it's Goosen.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. Turn passes back to Steven. Takes his draw. Astrolabe. Another Cryptic Command in hand. So now you see why he was so willing to burn that. Think he does it again on this turn?
Yeah, well, and he has a Sanctuary.
3 islands already at the ready.
Yeah, so he can put this Cryptic Command on top and basically repeat the play that he did for 2 more turns.
Yeah, that sounds nice. Looks like we are going to play Sanctuary. Cryptic Command goes back to the top of the library. Going to go ahead, play Astrolabe, draw it now. Why not? Live your best life, Steven. Everyone's best life is with as many Cryptic Commands at the ready as possible.
And it's funny, in between rounds, you and I were commenting that you know, the addition of Oko and these Cryptic Commands means you don't have to play a lot of clunky sideboard cards.
Yep.
The hate that you play against is often artifacts and sometimes creatures, and Oko and Cryptic Command have the ability to just clean up all of that.
Yeah, and here we go again. It is Cryptic Command bouncing Urza's tower, keeping Josh off of Tron very effectively.
And really churning through a good bit of this deck in the process.
Yeah, gonna crack a bauble. Wants to see his own card. No idea why. Just couldn't wait. Couldn't wait to find out.
That is an interesting line.
Thragtusk is the draw for Josh. Thragtusk now widely seen in main decks. Pretty medium here.
Yeah, I mean, it's medium minus at best.
Ooh, medium minus has been called. A harsh indictment of the Thragtusk.
Yeah, I mean, we both know that Josh just needs to get some of his bigger haymakers onto this board.
Absolutely. A lot of Cryptic Commands to work
Yeah,
here,
and we know that it's not happening right away.
Chromatic Star from Josh. That's it. That's the big play here on turn 5, I believe, for Josh.
Oh, jeez.
Karn is the draw.
There's a Karn, there's an Oko. Like, you know, Steven's getting close to just taking over this game. Again, a lot of this just hinges on what Josh is able to do when he finally has Tron available to him.
Just Cryptic him again, play the Mystic Sanctuary. Does he have another fetch in hand, or is it just the...
I believe he just has a basic forest.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
Okay. Well, here is Cryptic. And it's going to bounce that tower once more.
And he draws an Urza.
Yeah, that's a decent draw.
Well, that's huge because it's going to give him a lot more mana to work with. And I kind of wish that Steven had waited. So the turn that he played the Astrolabe, he had to burn through one of his food.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew that this turn he was going to have an extra mana sitting around. So he could have waited that extra turn before playing the Astrolabe, saved himself the food as the game moved forward.
Interesting. Well, he did not do that. And now Joshua, again, on just 3 colorless mana, has access to a Chromatic Star. Don't think that unlocks a whole lot for him, though.
No, it does not, but he's got 1,000,000 cards in hand.
Green mana.
You know, if you're Steven on the other side of the board, you've done a good job of stalling him, but you have to start being scared at this point, right? Where he's going to have anything and everything in his hand when he finally gets drawn here.
Ancient Stirrings is the draw off that star. It's going to be cast. Josh has to determine what to take here. Walking Ballista.
Oh, that's interesting.
Josh just has so many payoffs at this point. There's an Ugin in hand. There's 4 mana Karn. There's 7 mana Karn. There's an Ulamog.
Just everything. He probably has to discard here. Yep. I think he has to discard
twice.
2.
He's got 9 in hand. So we're going to cast Walking Ballista for 1 and then discard.
See, I don't think you're gaining anything by casting Walking Ballista here.
It depends if you feel the rest of your cards are essential.
Yeah, I think
you'd rather just discard it?
No, I discard a Thragtusk and another card and then still have the potential for the utility out of this Ballista later.
Right.
I mean, you have to know you're not going to just be Cryptic Command locked for the entire game. It feels like that, right? Sure. Like it's felt like that this game, but you're definitely going to have access to your full Tron in short order here.
Yeah, it is hard to see a world where this Thragtusk ends up mattering in any meaningful way.
Although here's the question. Steven's going to play his Karn here? Maybe. All right, he's going with Urza. So my question is, what does Steven have to tutor for with Karn? You know, if he has a Damping Sphere, like that would just be insane for him, right?
He's got 2 of them. 2 Damping Spheres in the sideboard for Steven.
So that makes it...
You want that food even more?
Yeah, it makes it even bigger that he didn't have access to that food here, because you would definitely just play Karn, tutor up the Damping Sphere, and play it onto this board, and then Josh is just nowhere close to being in this game, right?
Right.
The way the game's played out so far, we know that he doesn't have an Oblivion Stone in his hand. It would just definitely be on the board right now.
Yeah, and now it looks like Josh is going to get to take 1 swing at it, basically. Here is that Karn. It is going to minus. Damping Sphere, Ensnaring Bridge, Pithing Needle, Tormod Script, Engineered Explosives, Mycosynth Lattice.
He gets the Damping Sphere.
Grabs the Damping Sphere. Now Josh knows, I got 1 shot at this.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to let that Karn tutor second time, right? He wants to get that off the board real bad. But he also has all this other stuff that he has to deal with. The Karn Struck token is just going to be big, put a lot of pressure on things. The Damping Sphere is a problem coming down next turn. It feels like all of these Cryptic Commands just gave Steven enough time to find these threats, and now he's way too far ahead.
I think I mostly agree with you, Craig.
Yeah, we're kind of in Oblivion Stone or bust type territory here. there's just too many different diverse threats that need to be cleaned up on this board.
Yeah, and I don't think I'd see an Oblivion Stone on Josh's side. There's an Ugin, there's an Ulamog, there's multiple kinds of Karns, Thragtusk, Blast Zone, Sylvan Scrying. Josh going to go check the sideboard, see if there's anything he could grab.
So,
with access to 5 mana.
Maybe you start with Ugin here. You clean up the 2 Geese and Urza. You still have Ugin on the board. You can attack the Karn down to 2 counters so that if he tutors again, at least it's off the board so that you can't get locked up by the Mycosynthlatus. And then you just kind of move forward from there.
Let's see if Josh agrees with your approach. Here is Ugin. One colorless mana floating. Doubt that's going to be used. Ugin with 7 loyalty to start. You're thinking -4, right, Greg?
That is, yes.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a little rough because you know the Karn Struck's going to swing in next turn. Okay, he's going to up it and just make sure he deals with the Karn right away.
That's interesting. Yeah, maybe just keep that Ugin on the battlefield for a little while.
Yeah, I guess if you can chump block the Karn Struck, the Urza's not doing a whole lot of damage.
Right. Yeah, I think I like this.
Okay.
Steven takes a draw, finds a second Oko. 2 Okos, Damping Sphere. 1 more card in hand for Steven.
Yeah, access to tons of mana with the Urza on the board still.
How to best leverage all that mana. Do you need to make attackers with Oko? Don't know if that actually gets you anywhere. This Ugin looks real strong. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
yeah.
The position Josh is in is okay. It's really not that bad.
I don't think it's that good though. So if Steven goes Oko, turn, I don't know, one of my geese into an elk, and then plays Damping Sphere and just crashes everyone into the red zone at Josh. Like he can potentially ignore the dragon on the other side of the board, the dragon planeswalker, and just get aggressive. The Matthias Hunt token is going to get very large. It's a 3/3 right now. It'll be a 4/4. You can use a goose to make a food in this process, having it be a 5/5.
Interesting. Interesting decisions to be made. There's also that engineered explosives on the battlefield that could clean up Walking Ballista. I also think you probably want to elk one of your artifacts so as not to eventually lose it to Ugin minus, right?
Well, the elk is still green, right?
Who knows? I'm not going to try. Whatever. I'm not fielding any more questions about Oko. Now we're going to look at the back of the Star City Game stage. You see what we do behind the scenes here. Just giving you a little peek at what's going on. Yeah, you didn't know all that was happening behind the judge stand. Okay.
There it is.
Steven has returned. Quick judge question there.
Yeah, green elk when you use Oko.
Okay. Like I said, I am not feeling any more questions about Oko, so appreciate you sharing that with the audience. I don't want to hear about it, though. Thanks, Craig.
Tweet all your questions at Brian Go.
You know very well that Oko-based questions go directly to Cedric Phillips. as they always have.
All your Oko questions to @Cedric A. Phillips.
Right.
And all your non-Oko questions.
Sure.
He's a wise man. He has many answers.
Yeah, just go ask Cedric a bunch of stuff.
So this is what's interesting me here. We'll see what line Steven is taking, where does he want to get aggressive going after Joshua's life total? I feel like once the damping sphere is on the board, he's going to have tons of time, and by attacking the dragon over and over, you're giving some of that time back to the opponent.
Right. It's interesting. You know what that Ugin ultimate does, Craig? Scary stuff.
Yeah, you probably don't want to let it ultimate. You're right there.
It's been a minute since I fired off an Ugin permanent, but it is like -11, draw 7, put all the permanents onto the battlefield, I believe.
Draw 7, gain 7.
That's right, life gain component as well.
Yeah.
It's a powerful, powerful ultimate.
Yeah, if you got to put a whole bunch of lands onto the battlefield, you don't even care about the damping sphere on the other side anymore, right?
Right. So we don't know exactly where this attack is going. We'll get it sorted out when either the life totals change or Ugin's loyalty changes, and it looks like it's going to be Ugin's loyalty.
So if this was the line we were taking, I feel like we could have, blown up the engineer explosives.
Cleared the ballista in advance.
Cleared the ballista. A lot of our cards still make mana through the Urza.
Yeah. Blast Zone at the ready for Josh. 2 Thragtusk in hand now.
And this is so awkward because Josh doesn't even have a forest after all of this.
Right. Now it's time to minus Ugin. Make a food in response.
Yeah, Oko also off the board.
Pretty nice Ugin minus there.
Great, but Steven's going to get right back on this board with another Oko. Really pressuring the opponent here. This has turned into quite the interesting game.
Yeah. Given how things went in the early turns, I did not expect us to get to this point.
What does Josh have to tutor up?
Basilisk Collar. I mean, it doesn't do anything here, but that's just a card I love, so I wanted to mention it.
Good find.
Don't see a lot of those in Tron sideboards, quite frankly.
He does have an Oblivion Stone there.
Yep. Looks like he chose to do nothing.
Well, I think he wants to power up the Blast Zone.
Yeah,
get
sense.
Get it to 2, and then you can clear off that damping sphere and start making haymakers again.
I would have to check the wording on Karn. Is it possible that he could have played Karn plus onto the Matthias token to kill it? Or do you have to target a non-creature artifact with Karn?
Non-creature.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Here's an Emery from Steven. Nice little value engine online. And here is that Oko you mentioned. Strong follow-up. Something's becoming an elk. Engineered explosives. Matthias token. Both are attacking here. Now the turn, going to pass back to Josh. Powers up the Blast Zone as you suspected.
Yeah, Josh has done a good job this game of being pretty patient with his plays. There's absolutely no panic. And, you know, depending on... He's not going to die next turn, right? So he should be able to blow up this blast zone.
Yep.
He's going to wait till the opponent's turn, at the end of the opponent's turn. You blow it up here, the opponent's just going to immediately use Emery to redeploy the damping sphere on the next turn. Unless you can make just a ridiculously impactful play this turn, I think you have to pass, you blow up the damping sphere, and then you have access to all of your mana on the next turn.
Yeah. Josh agrees. Going to pass the turn to Steven. What can Steven get up to now? Astrolabe in hand, I believe. I think he drew an Emery. I have to tell you, Craig, I'm a little concerned about the pace of play in this match.
Yeah, they're both being very careful with their play, and you know, this game could potentially take many more turns.
Yeah, we're 25 minutes in.
And we're 25 minutes in.
Definitely something these players need to consider going forward if this match is going to be completed. There's that Astrolabe from Steven. Draws a Mox Opal. Emery going to go ahead and cast a Mishra's Bauble. That costs mana.
Yeah.
There we go. We got there. Oko's going to plus onto food. Big attack. Headed Josh's way. I think Josh going to fall to 3 here. Does that sound about right to you?
How big is this construct? It's about 5/5.
Bigger than that, right? I mean, there's some artifacts off screen, I think.
I think it's about a 5/5, and then another 6 point from the elk.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do they remain artifacts, right?
They do not.
They don't.
They do not.
Are you sure about that?
I am quite sure.
Okay. Okay, who knows? Like I said, I'm not fielding Oko questions at this time.
They keep super types, but not types and subtypes.
Then why does Magus of the Moon, Craig? Why does it work?
Because of the layering. Obviously, the layering.
I am fuming right now. I wish you could see how outraged I am.
Do you not but the people at home don't even know what you're talking about right now. So give them a little more insight.
If you make Magus of the Moon into an elk, it still makes non-basic lands mountains.
Correct.
Because of layers.
Because of the layering. Yeah.
This is what they tell me. I have no clue how this actually works. I couldn't point you to any of the rules. I just know I've been told this by people I trust.
The judges will tell you this.
The judges have told me this, yes.
And
it's actually never come up for me in games.
I agree with you that intuitively it does not make sense.
Right.
But within the complex rule system that we use in the game,
that's just how it goes.
This is how it goes.
Well, it's time for Ulamog, Craig.
Yeah, this is interesting. Ulamog, obviously a spectacular card. Super high impact.
Yeah, going to take out Steven's 2 biggest threats.
Steven's going to be able to redeploy the damping sphere here, and it looks like he's got another
Oko as well.
Oko.
Yeah.
Ulamog, you just paid 10 mana for this card. Oh, and he's saying, I'll just kill you.
Yeah. How about a lethal attack? That is going to do it, and that means Steven takes down Game 1, Simic Urza over Mono Green Tron. That game felt mostly lopsided, but I think Josh did a good job of trying to force through a very, very small window, just not quite enough there.
Sure, yeah, some interesting things. Just Oblivion Stone at any point in that game just completely flops it on his head, right?
Yeah.
It goes from one player's favor to the other. Also, Josh was on the play that game, so it was important for Steven to have those geese to accelerate ahead of time, start using those cryptic commands on turn 3, and stay ahead.
No, great point. Great point.
We'll see if Josh this time can get the Tron on 3 and just, not have to worry about that happening again.
Hopefully we'll not be punished for those mismatched Tron pieces one more time. Why don't we go ahead and head into the sideboards here for both players. We'll start over on Steven's side. There you see 2 Damping Spheres, 2 Fatal Push, 2 Assassin's Trophy, 2 Thoughtseize, 1 Ensnaring Bridge, a Pithing Needle, Tormod's Crypt, Engineered Explosives, Microsoft Lettuce, Disdainful Stroke, and an Ashiok Dream Render. Craig, what are you doing if you're Steven?
Brian, are you just malfunctioning over there?
What are you talking about?
Okay. All right. We're going to have one of the engineers look at you after this round.
Yeah, I'm probably in need of an upgrade at this point.
A firmware upgrade for sure. So it's funny. The Damping Sphere, you've got ways to tutor it out of your sideboard. So I think you want to leave one there.
Agreed.
And bring the other one in. I love the Assassin's Trophy. It's like, sure, they get a land if you blow up their land, but all you need to do is keep them off Tron. We saw how important Tron was in those games. So I think that those come in as well. And the Disdainful Stroke, when your opponent finally makes Tron and is just trying to catch the biggest thing possible, Disdainful Stroke is very effective fighting back against that.
It all checks out to me. Meanwhile, over on Josh's side, we are looking at 2 Veil of Summer, 2 Nature's Claim, a Weather the Storm, a Thragtusk, Grafdigger's Cage, Microsoft Lettuce, 1 Crucible of Worlds, a Sorcerer's Spyglass, 1 Basilisk Collar, an Ensnaring Bridge, 1 Oblivion Stone, 1 Liquimetal Coating, and 1 Walking Ballista. Craig, what kind of moves are you looking to make on the mono green Tron side?
So when you're playing 4-drop Karn, obviously you lose a lot of your sideboard that you would normally be working with.
Right.
I don't think it hurts the mono green Tron deck that much in a lot of matchups, because a lot of times you didn't want to do that much sideboarding anyway. You would bring in a couple of cards, you take out a couple of cards, but it wouldn't make a big impact. But in a matchup like this, you wanted the 4 Nature's Claims, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just really wanted the 4 Nature's Claims. You don't have room to play all of those in your sideboard and still have other sideboard cards. So I expect the 2 Nature's Claims to come in, and probably the 2 Veil of Summer as well. That's kind of an interesting card where it's a little awkward. Sometimes it's going to get stuck in your hand. You'll want to cantrip it, but you're going to be tapped out and you can't use it effectively. But I think there's definitely times where it's just going to blow the doors off of your opponent when you resolve it.
Right. Yeah, very swingy card.
And I also think that there's enough cards that you want to take out in this matchup.
Right.
Where you're just like, Thragtusk, that is not an exciting card here. Wormcoil Engine, that is not an exciting card here either. The Relic Progenitus, maybe you keep it at cycles. You can potentially stop them from going off to their Mystic Sanctuary.
Yeah, I don't think it's all that meaningful.
But it's a very medium card.
I agree with you. All right, players are just going ahead and drawing their 7s right now.
I mean, it's possible that Joshua Beard even wants to side in the other Walking Ballista. If he says, anytime I play 4-drop Karn, I'm going to tutor for something else. I don't want to tutor for the Walking Ballista. It's almost never going to happen. And Walking Ballista is better than one of the other cards that I have in my deck. Then you want to just side in this Walking Ballista.
Here's a Once Upon a Time from Josh.
2 of those in the main deck.
How do you feel about that, Craig?
It's a miser card, right? Let me get a little bit lucky here.
Think I like 1 copy. Not crazy about 2.
There's the Relic we talked about.
So it looks like Relic did remain in the deck.
Not the most exciting card, but again, fights back against Emery and the Mystic Sanctuary.
Sure, cantripping matters as well. Sometimes you just need to get through as much of your deck as possible. Looking for very specific cards is Tron. Steven with an Astrolabe. Going to go ahead and draw a card here. Mox Opal.
Oh, this is the start.
Bauble.
Okay.
Emery. All sounds good to me. Relic of Progenitus going to eat that fetch land. Emery reveals Urza. Scalding Tarn, Emery, Misty Rainforest, but the Bauble's already at the ready.
Yeah, but this Relic's looking a lot better now, right? Like,
sure.
Like if you have the ability to be patient with it, you force your opponent's hand where they have to crack the Bauble and then target it with the Emery, and you get to eat the graveyard in response.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Steven wants to wait a bit for cracking that Bauble, not giving Josh the chance to go ahead and pay 1 and exile everything with the Relic.
Yeah, he led with the 0 mana once upon a time, which means there's a pretty high likelihood he's going to have the Tron on 3. So he's able to just pass with his mana up here.
Mm-hmm. Steven going to do some fetching.
And I think Steven's big payoff card in his hand is a Damping Sphere.
I think you're correct.
Which is going to be huge.
Yep. Because we know Josh would have Natural Tron. Is it still Natural Tron if you Once Upon a Time?
I don't think it is.
Okay.
You know, you cast a spell and you dug for it,
sure.
even if you didn't pay mana for the spell.
I'll give you that.
But that's just a bunch of semantics anyway, right? Does it matter how it happens? No, it just matters that you have it on turn 3.
Exactly right. But Steven says, not good enough. Here's a Damping Sphere.
Oof. And he gets frisky. I like it.
Emery just going to rumble into the red zone.
Boom! Dropping bows.
Swim into the red zone? And Josh very quickly in a whole heap of trouble here.
There's a ton of cards on the other side, and the Damping Sphere is a problematic card. But Josh is not under a ton of pressure here.
That is true. I also don't think Josh can cast any of the spells in his hand. I think there's a bunch of green spells. Okay, here's Oblivion Stone.
Right?
Yep.
Like this is an equalizer.
Yes, it is.
Steven's not able to do something against this. It could potentially just reset the board and put Josh way ahead again.
Yeah, and Steven's going to take advantage of the fact that Josh is topped out. Go ahead and crack that Bauble. Use Emery on his turn to buy it back. Cryptic Command. Metallic Rebuke. Urza.
Oh, this is actually huge.
Wow. Step 1 is return Bauble, looks like. Relic activated in response, but here comes the Bauble.
Yeah, and the question for me is, does Steven have another land in his hand? Because he really wants to get that... He really wants to get Urza onto the board.
Yeah, this is not going to do it. It's 5 mana now. Yeah, we got to make sure this doesn't proceed.
No, so I think he backed out of playing the Bauble.
The Emery's still tapped.
So, yeah, the Emery just targets something.
Okay.
You can
so
play,
now he's going to play the Bauble.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. He got it right. He did pull it to the front for a moment,
yeah, he
right?
did, and,
okay.
and then he realized the Damping Sphere was going to jam him up. No, but this is huge.
Yep.
I kind of wish he hadn't even played the Bauble. It probably won't matter.
That cost him access to Cryptic on this turn?
Yes.
Yeah. Hard to get too badly punished here. Oblivion Stone not going to be online yet.
Yeah, I mean, it could have potentially been like a forest into Nature's Claim. That could have been a problem.
Right. Expedition map going to be cracked. I think we are going to go get that forest now. Yep. Steven's going to take the turn back with access to a lot of mana, though.
Well, and pressure. The construct is huge, right? Yeah. To me, he's got the ability to just, next turn, bounce the Oblivion Stone back to the opponent's hand. Basically time walking, come rumbling in with all your creatures for tons of damage. You get to counter the Oblivion Stone when the opponent tries to redeploy it.
Yep.
If you feel like you need to it. And then you just win the game on the next turn with another big crack.
That sounds pretty good to me, Craig, and I think that's what Steven's lining up right now. Let's see how he wants to play things here. One mana tapped. Astrolabe. That's fine. That's basically free.
Yes.
Can still Cryptic Command on upkeep.
I believe this construct is a 6/6 right now, so we have 6, 7, 8 points coming in. I think you want to make a food with the Goose because you can still tap that food for mana later.
Okay. Does that take you off Cryptic Rebuke?
So I think you only need Cryptic.
Okay. And then just win next turn?
Yes.
Looks like Josh is going to go ahead, crack this relic, draws a Sylvan Scrying. Now on draw, looks like we have effects. Cryptic Command. Boy, Veil of Summer would be pretty decent here.
See, even Veil of Summer doesn't do it though, right? Like
right. You're still short the mana.
Yeah, exactly. If Steven has lethal next turn.
No, you're right.
Which is the reason I wanted Steven to make the food. Because it would have put Josh to 10, and then next turn, another food makes it 11 to win the game.
Yeah.
You don't even have to draw another artifact at that point.
I think that tracks.
And he has the mana where he could have made the food and still done this.
Cryptic Command is going to go ahead and bounce. That Oblivion Stone. Josh plays a land. Redeploys.
And it's safe here. I don't think Steven has enough mana to counter it because of the Damping Sphere.
Yeah, I think you're right. Ancient Stirring's going to be the follow-up. Worm Coil Engine. What's that doing in the deck is my question.
Yeah, it's funny because, if Josh is able to blow up this stone and stabilize the board.
Can actually cast it.
Yeah, it could be a real card here, but... look, now we're making the food. I really wish we had done this last turn. If we end up a point short on Steven's side...
Well, let's see. Let's see what Steven has lined up.
It's tough. There's so many artifacts. They're spilling off of the board on that side. I can't even keep track of how big this Matthias token is.
Brought one onto the battlefield briefly and then moved a bunch more off. Help us out here, Steven.
All right, he's shocking.
It's got to be frightening if you're Josh.
So a lot of cards do it for him here. Any artifact, I believe Oko is going to be enough to do it. He could have spun the wheel with Urza and gone that route, but there was definitely just chances where he bricks off and he was not going to be able to win the game here.
Yeah. Thankfully for Steven, that does not appear to be the case. Going to go ahead and plus onto this Goose, looks like. Yep. Gilded Elk.
Yeah, this is going to be it.
Attack with the squad. Going to do a little counting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 artifacts, I believe. Looks like 12 points coming in.
That is going to get the handshake, and that means Steven Dykman moving on to day 2, undefeated, 8-0 for Simic Urza. We talked about Simic Urza. We said this was